can capture the Senate. Throughout this year, I'm going to come on periodically and give you a briefing on the status of different races in the country so that you can decide who to support and where to put your efforts. We need 6 seats to win the Senate. 3 of them, as I've said, are pretty much easy pickups. West Virginia, South Dakota, and Montana. All 3 of them have retiring Democratic incumbents, very strong Republican candidates, and very weak Democrats running for the seats. Then there are 4 seats in which Democratic incumbents are very vulnerable. And these 4 seats will really be the key ones in determining whether we win control or not. And they really deserve your attention and your focus. They're in Alaska, Arkansas, Louisiana, and North Carolina. In Alaska, Senator Paul Begich, who was elected only because Senator Stevens was indicted and I believe convicted before the election, is a Democratic senator in a heavily Republican state. There are several good candidates running. The current lieutenant governor and the current attorney general of Alaska are facing each other in a primary. Either one probably will be able to defeat Begich. But we have to be sure that they can recover after the primary and wage a strong campaign in November. In Arkansas, probably the best shot of the 4, Tom Cotton, like the crop, who represents the southern part of Arkansas in Congress, just won the seat last year, is running against Mark Pryor, who has held the seat for 12 years. His dad was my client back in 1978. And Cotton has now moved ahead of Pryor by 5 or 6 points in the poll. This is a state that really has become much more Republican. Used to have 3 out of 4 Democratic congressmen in 2009. Now it has all 4 Republican congressmen. Blanche Lincoln, the other senator, was defeated in 2010. And it's very likely going to go Republican. And Cotton has a very good chance to defeat Pryor. That's a key race to keep your attention on. The other race is in Louisiana, where Cassidy, who is a Republican congressman, is running against Marie Landrieu, who's been in for about 18 years. Landrieu's father was Moon Landrieu, the mayor of New Orleans. But Louisiana has changed demographically in the aftermath of Katrina, and Landrieu really alienated people with her support of Obamacare. Now, Louisiana is a funny state, as always, because there is no primary. There's just one election in which all Democrats and all Republicans run together, and then the top 2 run it off if nobody gets a majority. So there's a retired Army colonel, or Air Force colonel, I forget his name, who has the support of the Tea Party people there, who's running along with Cassidy against Landrieu. In other states, it would be a Republican primary, and then the winner would face Landrieu, but here it all happens at once. But their combined vote share in the primaries is now over 50, and well ahead of Landrieu's vote share. And it's very important that whoever wins that goes on to defeat Landrieu. Cassidy probably has by far the better chance of winning that election and probably deserves your support. And that'll be a seat we have to win to get control. And then the 4th seat is in North Carolina, where Kim Hagan was elected to the Senate last time. North Carolina is one of only 2 states that McCain lost and Romney won. And it has become much more Republican in recent years. Oddly, it didn't really flip in the 2010 elections, but it did flip in the 2012 election. And a whole bunch of Republican congressmen were elected. And Hagan is in trouble. She used to be about 8 or 10 points ahead, but with Obamacare crashing, she's now fallen into a dead-even tie. There are several Republican candidates running, like 7 or 8, and they'll have a tough primary, and it'll shake itself out, and we'll see who emerges. But North Carolina is clearly a race to keep your eye on, and we have a very good chance of picking that seat up. We need 3 of those 4 seats, 3 of Alaska, Arkansas, Louisiana, and North Carolina. And then there are 4 seats where we have a pretty decent shot. Maybe not a great shot, but a pretty good shot. We could win them. The best of them is probably New Hampshire, where Jeanine Sheehan is running for re-election, a Democrat. And Bob Smith, the former senator, Republican, just announced that he's going to run. And it looks like Scott Brown, who was elected senator in next-door Massachusetts, has moved to New Hampshire. He had a house there. He gave up his house in Massachusetts, and he may run. Either of them could offer Sheehan a really tough fight. Al Franken, bless him, has a very good chance of losing. He won by basically stealing the election by a few votes last time. They controlled the Secretary of State, and it was the closest election in the country. And Franken's not polling well, and he could be defeated. In Michigan, Carl Levin, the Democratic senator, is not running again, and the Republican candidate, a guy named Land, is running against the Democrat, a guy named Peters, and the polling has them tied. So Michigan's a possibility. And in Oregon, where Merkley is running for re-election, we have a pretty good shot at winning that. There are some good Republican candidates. Those four are kind of backup and reserve shots. But the four to keep your eye on are Alaska, Louisiana, Arkansas, and North Carolina. I'll keep you posted as the year unfolds. Thanks for watching.